Hey there, BaronvonKlausnitzer here, bringing you part 2, and probably the last part actually of this series due to the simplicity of the ship we're looking at. Part 2 of my series looking at my new weapon class destroyer. This right here would be the prototype of the class, the RWS Longbow. I mentioned before how she's a destroyer, so she's meant as a light escort, so she's very lightly armored. If you look up here, you can see I added this this mod. This is a 50mm supplemental armor mod to try to protect some, give a little bit more protection to some of the more vital flat surfaces. I decided not to do the angular pieces or parts because the angular parts are already thicker in armor anyway. The idea is basically like that's the splinter protection, like what you would see on World War II era American destroyers. Let's have a look around the ship before I bring you in. As you can see, her fixed forward weapons already went over. So I did end up using some of these anti-fighter turrets. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. I think just 4. Just to give it a little bit extra punch. And then, aside from the forward weapons, we have these heavy defense turrets, and then a number of these anti-missile turrets. So she should be pretty decent at her job as a light escort. She's not as ridiculously armed as some other ships you might see come out of Space Engineers, but she's more in line with the concept I kind of have for this fleet. So we're going to go inside now, and because she's too small for a proper hangar bay, I installed airlocks, and I really kind of like how I did this feature. So you hit the button, and actually the airlock room is now depressurizing. And after a few seconds, both outer doors open, and we can get into the main room. I saw that weird door glitch. I don't know if that's a keen thing or if that's something to do with one of my mods. And then both doors closes, room repressurizes, interior door opens, and you're into the main ship. And you can access them using these 2 buttons, port and starboard going the other way. They'll also be triggerable from the main control center, which we'll get to in a moment. Now up in the bow, not much to see here. It's basically just a big empty space at the moment. I don't really know if I want to do anything with it. I can't really think of anything effective to do with it. Jesus, I fell just far enough off. So for the time being, it's just going to stay there. Based on what I just went through there, I might add a catwalk here. See, the actual bulk of the ship is this way. Before I do that, as you can see, lights. I have these lights also light up lights in both airlocks. As you can see, they're pretty bright. But I'm in here. This is the kind of combination living, recreation, whatever have you area. Again, it's a destroyer, so it's not the choices of assignments. Career destroyermen are going to be rare, and they're usually going to be officers. Officers do, however, have the luxury of their own private. No, this is not the officer's room. That's the next one over. This is the washroom. As you can see, minimum facilities, only 1 shower, 1 toilet, 1 sink for a crew of, is it 11, I think? Yeah, crew of 11. This is the officer's room. So you do get the captain does get his own private bunk with private toilet and shower. So I mean that is one perk, which is why captains tend to be destroyermen, whereas enlisted crewmen tend to seek to go elsewhere. Minimum kitchen. Let's turn the lights so you can see. Minimal kitchen. They have to make do with only 1 video game console. I chose Mortal Kombat 2. Small sitting area, a single weight bench. Very little privacy, very little space. It's a tin can, get over it. Come through here, and this is the command area. So, again, pretty straightforward. You have a bridge crew of 3 plus the captain. This is the main cockpit. Actually, I'll bring the HUD back up just so we can look at some of her vital statistics. She is now just about 2.5 million kilograms, 69 thrusters, 4 gyroscopes, but they're a what's called the 2 times gyro, so each one of those 4 is actually worth 10 standards. She has 40 gyros, so as you can see, she's very turny. She accelerates pretty fast despite having just standard large engines. Just 4 of them, so not bad. Brakes pretty decently. Over here is weapons. And what I have here is you can, oops, which one is it? Here it is. You can activate a telescope, and then main battery fire, laser lance, missiles, and then we also have, oops, aft firing missiles. It's easier when the HUD's up. I just don't like the way the HUD looks when most of the time when recording videos. And this is just other bridge communications, whatever you want to have you. Right now about all it does is shuts off the main lights, turn on the war lights. Now here, unfortunately, I have to make a compromise. I can't get a wall mounted switch. I had to put a pedestal switch, which kind of impedes the flow, but whatever, we'll deal with it. We are civilized human beings. Go through this passageway. And engineering and such. So you have the single console for your main engineer, who would be a senior enlisted on this ship. And then, like I said before, relatively minor manufacturing capabilities. These are the manufacture the ammunition for the laser lances, oxygen generator, oxygen tank, assembler with, I believe it's a productivity module attached. So, you know, kind of basic, straightforward stuff. Air engineering control station, and then over here on each side is your hatchway to get into the crawl space, which we'll take a quick look at. There's not much exciting down here. Timer blocks and plumbing mostly. I'd hoped to make this overall much more accessible than it ended up being. That there is unfortunately not a whole lot I can do about it, just because of the way I had to run everything to make sure everything was connected. I think I got everything connected. So, as you can see, a very basic utilitarian design. You know, some of the pipes run, some of the conveyors, plumbing, whatever you would like to call it, runs right through the ceiling. It's kind of an industrial look. Very little privacy and recreational facilities for its crews. Then again, it's also not meant to be you know, it's not intended for individual long-term patrols. It's meant to operate as a task group with cruisers and battleships. The idea I have in my head, at least at the moment, would be 4 of these per capital ship, so per battleship or battle cruiser, and approximately 2 per, which would equivalent about 2 per cruiser with the force compositions I've been playing around with. I'll take a quick look at our inventory before we go. You can see, like I did with Leviathan, almost everything's in group, only the antenna, beacon, and jump drive isn't. She has, considering she only has 1 jump drive, and there simply isn't room to fit more unless I get a mod for a compact one, which I don't really feel like doing. She has a fairly short jump range of 1,000 kilometers, which means anyone operating in a fleet with her is going to be limited to that range, but that is kind of the breaks. I mean, it is very like the reason why the U.S. had so many underway replenishment vessels in the Second World War is because destroyers couldn't travel very far on their own. So anyway, that is the weapon class destroyer, the lightest of the escorts from our capital ships. So let me know what you think. I'll probably be putting this one up in the workshop at some point as well. And I'll see you later. Bye.